You know, sometimes you think I have enough plugins and you think I'm not gonna buy a plugin for a while now. And then a plugin comes up and then you're like, I have to have this. Well, the plugins that I'm about to show you had that effect on me. So let's talk about it. Quick story. The first time I tried a Pulsar audio plugin was when they released the Smasher compressor like a few years ago. They had it for free for a while and I absolutely loved it. It was a kind of all buttons in 1176 type of compressor. Great for parallel, for drums and all these things. It was free as well and I loved it to bits. But since then I had no idea what Pulsar Audio released, and actually I came across them while I was researching, trying to find a massive passive EQ clone in plugin form, because this is one of the things that I don't have in analog in my studio. So while I was searching and looking, I found their massive EQ. And I immediately downloaded the demo and I was blown away. So for me, that was love at first audition. And then I also found that they have another plugin that I would really like to have in hardware form, and maybe I'm going to invest in something like this. And this was the Mu compressor. And this is where everything started. I've been using these plugins since then and I'm in love with them, and I couldn't believe that I didn't know about them until then. I already included Pulsar Audio's Massive EQ on my favorite mastering EQ list of plugins. Here's the video if you want to check it out. Now I want to say straight away, Pulsar Audio are the kind sponsors of today's video, but they don't have any editorial input in this video. They haven't watched it. They don't know what I'm about to say, and everything that I'm going to say right here in this video are my own personal, honest opinions. Listen to the sound and judge for yourselves, okay? Let's get started. The first plugin that I want to talk about is the Mu limiter compressor. Now, this emulates another piece of gear that I would really like to have in the studio and I'm thinking of getting at some point. And this is a very famous Mu compressor. It starts with man and it ends with lay. So this plugin is really remarkable. I'm going to immediately start playing some music through it. Let's have a listen. And I'm going to say straight away, this is not a clinical, clean compressor. This compressor has tons of attitude and tons of color. If you want to do the scientific test, I would suggest you download the demo and check it out with Plugin Doctor. Many people like to check out plugins with Plugin Doctor these days, and it's a very valid point, you know. I don't think it tells the whole story, but even when I tried analyzing this plugin with Plugin Doctor, you will see that there's a lot of stuff that are going on under the hood, especially when you use the dual input control here. So basically, this is how you drive the compressor. This changes the characteristics of the tubes. So the more you drive it, you will get more saturation. You're not just driving the compressor only. This also adds saturation and incorporates harmonics to the signal. And I mean a lot of good harmonics. Now, one cool trick, if you're into automatic gain staging and all these things, is you can hold the shift button while adjusting this, and this will adjust the output at the same time. So that's a nifty trick if auto compensation is really important to you. I know this is very important for some people. I don't care too much, to be honest with you. I can live without it, but I know that for some people, it's a very important thing. So check this out. Check how many colors we can get out of this.
Like
So, I mean, it sounds incredible. I have to say, this is a compressor that will work in many different scenarios. So it will work on electronic music, it will work on pop music, it will work on acoustic music, it will work on vocals, it will work on guitars. So very, very quickly, I want to show you a vocal. And this is the vocal from Eero, from my To Your Narcos theme Netflix recreation. If you haven't watched it, watch it here. I'm not going to play the whole track today. I wanted to, because this compressor would shine on it, but apparently it was so close to the original, thanks YouTube, that the algorithm picked it up and it thinks that I'm actually playing the actual Netflix theme, and they demonetized the video and everything, which is absolutely fine. It was a lot of fun, but it took a long time to make this video. But I think I can play this vocal and we're gonna be safe. Let me show you how this sounds on vocals, okay? Let's have a play.
Soy el fuego que arde tu piel, soy el agua que mata tu sed, el castillo, la torre, yo soy la espada que guarda el caudal, tú el aire que respiro yo y la luz de la luna en el mar. La garganta que ansio mojar que...
I mean, you know, it adds so much warmth, richness to the sound. And you know what? It's one of those plugins that, you know, I mean, of course you can compensate and everything, but it's so obvious what it does that there's no question about it. So just use your ears, listen to this vocal. I mean, I have also, you know, the meters right there so you can see how the levels go, but listen to this.
Que arde tu piel, soy el agua que mata tu sed, el castillo, la torre, yo soy la espada que guarda el caudal, tú el aire.
There's no comparison, you know? It adds so much richness. The vocal becomes bigger. And of course, if it gets too much, you can always mix. That's great. I like that. Now, let's try something else. Let's try this vocal now.
Go, I'm saying, ain't you tired of waiting? We could leave this whole place behind. Go, I'm saying, ain't you tired of waiting? We could leave this whole place behind. Go, I'm saying.
I mean, this sound of the tube, it's just so satisfying. I have a lot of tube equipment here, so this is good quality tube sound, right? I mean, it's so smooth, it breaks nicely. I can only appreciate this. I would easily use this as an alternative for an analog piece of gear. So I just love it. It's so good. Let's try it on an acoustic guitar now. So I like the way that it controls the low end, you know, when we have those boomy notes. Now, here's the thing. Like the actual hardware that this plugin emulates, you have the compressor mode that gives you a very light compression, so 1.5 ratio, and we also have a limit mode, and this can really go very, very drastic. And we also have this really, really interesting sidechain section here, and this allows you to sculpt the way that the compressor will react to the program material. So you can really shape the detection circuit with this sidechain EQ, but also you can have look ahead and look behind. Now, when you go for look ahead, that means that the compressor will react faster to transients, so it will grab them very, very quickly, especially when you're doing parallel. That's going to be very, very useful. But then if you want to have a more relaxed reaction, you can also go to behind, and this will let some of the transients come through. So you have total control over there. So let me play this and let's see how it sounds. I'm gonna go a little bit drastic for this one so that you can hear the difference. See that? And then you can also shape the detection circuit, so you can have a low cut filter, which means that the low end is not going to trigger the compressor. And we also have more options for the mid-range and the top end, and you can actually listen to this filter if you go here and activate sidechain. So if you want, for example, the compressor to be more sensitive to your vocals, maybe you can use the mid-range. Or then again, if you want your hi-hats to not affect the compressor so much, you can just play here with this control. And you know, the more you drive it, the more the circuit is going to detect this information. This is not to be confused with a multi-band compressor. This is just for the detection circuit, right? And then of course you can have this work in sidechain. You can unlink the channels. It's really, really powerful. So this has become one of my go-to compressors right now, just because of all the color and attitude that it adds. And if you cannot afford the real thing, which I think that most people won't be able to afford it, I think this is something that you should have in your toolbox. Now let's talk about the second plugin for today, and this is the Massive Passive EQ from Pulsar Audio. And this is the plugin that I came across when I was trying to find a Massive Passive clone EQ. And I'm completely honest with you, I had no connection at all with Pulsar Audio. Let me show you what is special about this plugin. I mean, of course, it emulates a Massive Passive. It also has a drive control that allows you to add, you know, a little bit of harmonic content and everything. But this is a beautiful EQ with lovely curves that really works well with mastering. But I like to use it for stuff that are also very delicate, acoustic. Let me play this Lacrimosa recreation that I did a while ago. I'm gonna have a video here. This was all done in Cubase. And let me show you why I like this EQ for EQing things like this. I mean, I don't know what to say. This is the epitome of what I expect from a mastering EQ. Seriously. It's smooth. The sound is always complementary for everything that you run through it because the curves are so nice. You will see this low end curve. See what it does? It's very intricate. And yes, some people might say, oh yeah, I mean, if I add 3 EQs or if I add 3 bands on, you know, like a digital EQ, I can come up with this curve. I can emulate it. How long is this gonna take you? This is not how you work when you mix. You're not trying to emulate something that something else does straight away. Okay, so this is why we have so many EQs, why so many studios have so many EQs, analog and plugins. If one EQ could do everything, then we would have one digital EQ and we would do everything with it. It doesn't work this way. I'm telling you, time is money and you need to be able to reach for the right tool to do the job. And this EQ, in my opinion, that's why I wanted a Massive Passive clone so much, is it can give you a really flattering sound. I almost never cut with this EQ just because the boosting is so good. Okay, so again, it has an auto gain function. So if you're crazy with your auto gaining, I have strong feelings about this. I think it's totally wrong to try and do this with EQing, especially when you're mixing. I think you're going backwards. But if you really want to make sure that your gain is intact, you can do this. Auto gain, and then you play it. And I have to say, the auto gain function is phenomenal. Hats off to Pulsar Audio. The auto gain function is really working well. I would almost never use it, but Anyway, that's another story. Then we have two types of transformers, and you can also turn them off. This will give you a little bit of harmonics when you want to add some richness to your mix. And you can exaggerate those harmonics with the drive here. So I'm going to show you this in a second, but before I show you this, I want to show you the MS function. So this EQ, of course, can work in MS mode, which means that especially for a scenario like this where all my instruments are spread really wide in the stereo field, I can really take control. Check this out. So I can take care of my side signal and my mid signal independently. Now let me show you what the drive control does. There are many presets, by the way, in this EQ. I almost never use presets for EQs, but in this case I see some people that have created presets and I really appreciate them. So I'm gonna try Romesh's preset here, the Mix Exciter. Let's see. Okay, let's crank up the drive. And I think in this case, a little goes a long way. You want to incorporate some harmonics, but I mean, if you really crank it up, then you get a lot of, saturation, and the two transformers sound different. The filters are also lovely. And this top end curve is so lovely. Now, before I leave you, I want to also say that I really like the way that the interfaces are designed for these plugins. I really like the fact that you have the spectrum analyzer here and you can see this in a graphical kind of mode, but I like the fact that Pulsar Audio gives you the option to do this. This is what I like, because I want to hear. I don't want to see curves sometimes. I just want to be able to hear what's going on, because this way, sometimes you get more focused on what the sound is like rather than how it looks like. So I like this. You also have this option that I would probably never use, but this is a really good thing. The same goes for the Mu. So if I go here to the Mu, as you can see, you have this option, but when you click on this, you also get like a graphical representation. So that's very, very cool. So now it's your turn, my friends. Let me know what you think about these plugins. And actually, let me know if you've been using them already and these are all old news to you, because for me, these were brand new. I just started using them in August and, I absolutely love them. But let me know in the comments down below, what do you think about the Mu? What do you think about the massive passive clone? I'd really like to know your thoughts. Thanks so much, Pulsar Audio, for sponsoring this video. I really appreciate you supporting the channel. Thank you so much, my friends, for watching, and I'll see you on the next one. Happy mixing. Bye!